Hey there, folks. We're going to talk about grip, or more specifically, over gripping. So I put out a video a few days ago talking about grip. It was a clip from a class. We're just explaining very briefly how to hold the gun. And we'll talk about it a little bit more because it generated some comments. So again, the big thing for me is like I'm not going to stop the gun from recoiling. Instead, what I want to do is connect my hands to the gun so that the gun is never moving around inside of my grip like this. Instead, the hand, I'm holding firmly enough that my hand's connected, I would say, and the gun, it's like my hand is glued to the gun. The gun's not moving around inside of my grip. Now, the big thing for me is that once you're gripping to that point, more pressure is not going to do anything for you that's productive anyway. Instead, as I put more force in with my fingers, it's just more difficult to move this one quickly and independently. That's the big thing for me. That's the big takeaway. So let's talk about it. Let's see what you guys had to say. Again, you kind of changed how I look at things. I've been of the mind that grip is king and vision is queen. However, grip in the sense of trying to wrangle the gun isn't really what I was thinking, especially recently. I look on video and the Glock 47 barrel jumps at all, but it shoots very flat. The issue is that I'm working on is pressure. Dialing in the pressure input is probably the most accurate way of describing what I've been focused on. Little light bulb moment, always appreciated. Yeah, and that's true. You want to make sure that you get the pressures right, and just as importantly, you want to get them to be consistent. So one little thing you can do at home that's super helpful. So here I'm going to aim right at the camera. The sight is centered in the window, all right, as I look at the camera. Now, the interesting thing I want to do here, and you should try this at home. That's why I'm demonstrating it for you. It's a good thing to try. I'm going to change the pressure in my hands. So I'm just going to add a little bit of dominant hand pressure, add a little bit of support hand pressure. And in each one of these cases, you can see the gun moving as I steer it around when I change pressures. And like right away, the sight is gone. It's out of the window. Right? A little bit of dominant or support hand pressure, boom, sight's out of the window. Dominant pressure, and you can see, again, the gun steers around. The idea here is if I change pressures almost at all, I'm going to lose awareness of the sight. Not going to be able to, maintain that connection to the spot on the target with the sight just floating in there. That's not going to happen if I'm changing pressures. All right, so that's the key thing. It has to be consistent. All right. So another grip video that somehow finds a way to add value beyond the hundreds of vids on the topic. Thanks. Yes. Well, that's good. I want you to go out there and experience this stuff for yourself, like really try it, rather than build all of your concept of how to grip the gun, like watching YouTube videos and building like a theory about it. Instead, get out there and try it and experience it. See what else you guys had to say. I've tried so many grips. I ended up using this grip after tennis elbow. Dominant hand is looser and support hand is more clamping with supporting thumb. One thing I noticed too is with red dots, you can tell if you're over gripping. Yeah, with a red dot, it's really easy to tell. So if you see the sight come down from recoil and it's like doing the Parkinson shake, it was boom, it comes down and shakes. Almost always there's too much dominant hand tension. Instead of just holding the gun and staying connected to it, you'll see guys kind of bear down into the gun and end up shaking like that. That's too much tension with your dominant hand. It is not helping you. Let's see what else we got here. Hey, Ben, I'm new to shooting. I'm wondering if I should join USPSA. Can you do an updated opinion video on the org or roadmap for new shooters and what to avoid? Buying your book soon. Thank you. Yeah, that's a whole topic, isn't it? I will say this. The last match I shot, so I was ejected from USPSA in 2022 and allowed back in 2024. It took me some time to get my guns. Like what am I going to shoot in competition because iron sights are dead. So I had to, get some competition guns, kind of pick a division. And by the time I was shooting in a match this year, it was a PCSL match. Now, that was a club that was a USPSA club. And as part of all the USPSA drama, they left USPSA and now they're a PCSL club. What's actually changed at the club is nothing. They just, instead of being USPSA, they're PCSL. They still put on the same really high quality matches that they have been doing for a really long time. So the organization isn't as important to me as the club and the vibe and the people there. All right. So if you have a good club around you and USPSA is the way, I think that'd be fine. If like me, I live in like a PCSL region here. I mean, that's fine too. It's fine with me. But I mean, there's a lot more to it. But yeah, I think joining USPSA is fine. I think you should consider that. All right. I have started gripping the gun, one hand or both, and shaking it kind of violently. And I've decided however hard I need to grip and maintain the connection is how much pressure I need. Similar to the description I've heard, it's firm, but I'm not having to squeeze that hard. Yeah, so if we look at, like again, this gun in my hand, it's a full-size gun. It should not be that hard to hang on to. I would say I'm holding the gun hard enough that my fingertips are turning a little bit white, just a little bit, but the gun's locked in place in my hand and it's not moving around and it's nowhere near all my strength. That's really the key. Interestingly, I'm also getting a feel for where the pressures are, what makes that kind of connection. For a single hand, it's between the fingers in front and heel and back, whereas in two hands, I'm feeling more of the palms compressing the sides. Okay. Anyway, I've been listening to words from Ben and Joel and many more, but describing it and feeling it in your own hands are two different things. Yes. I just started doing this 2 minutes ago and it feels like a breakthrough. Please, someone try to tell me if this is real or if I'm learning bad habits. No, you should play around with it and then go shoot some live ammo. Back it up with live ammo and see if that validates what you're thinking. Ben, should you try to keep your wrist stiff? Please comment. Yeah, so you use those tendons in your wrist to like lock your wrist. So what we don't want to do is have a hinge point with my wrist. Instead, I want the gun recoiling like this. That's all you need to do. I'd like to see grip demos with a stock Glock 19 and 124 NATO ammo so I know what is realistic for me to accomplish. Sure, I can do that and I will do that with my Glock 19. I'll put something out. But I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be that exciting. It won't really look different. To me, when I'm shooting a Glock 19, I just have to be a little more conscious of that connection. It's not going to look different if I'm doing it right. It's easier to do it wrong, but if I'm doing it right, it won't look different. All right. I think there's a few things that could be added to this explanation of grip. Number one, seek to replace strength with leverage. Trigger thumb against trigger pinky. You say I'm leveraging these two. Trigger thumb against trigger pinky. And second and third fingers for lateral stability. So okay, you could do that. That's starting to get complicated. Support index presses up on trigger guard with the finger interlocking with trigger hand and using those 2 points in a sort of twisting motion to create additional isometric tension. That one, I don't know about that. Use those 2 points. So trigger support index presses up on trigger guard with the finger interlocking with the trigger hand. Like this, you mean? Is that what you mean? That to me is like kind of complicated to get on. I know some people like shooting this way, but to me that's harder. It's harder for me to get there when I'm drawing fast. I tend to not like that stuff. All right, using the support hand as described in number 2, be able to pull the support thumb drumstick snugly onto the grip. As Ben said, you don't need so much strength, but in my opinion, the connection with the gun is about isometric leverage in the axis of up, down, left, right, and rotationally. I'm a nobody, but once I discovered this, my grip shrank in half, and follow-ups could be done pretty much without looking at the sights. Right. Okay, sir, but what you're describing sounds really complicated to me and difficult to do. So instead, I hold the gun with my dominant hand. When I'm shooting aggressively, I kind of conceptualize it as loose as I can force myself to hold it. Again, in the context of shooting fast. And then I make sure I connect my support hand actually to the frame of the gun. So I'm grabbing my dominant hand and clamping my support hand onto the gun, not doing anything with my thumbs. And you can see there's nothing irregular happening with my fingers. Like I'm not trying to get one finger to do something different than some other finger, like with my pinky or with my pointer finger. Yeah, I think what you're talking about is just too complicated for me, if you want the truth. Okay, let's do one more comment here. Yes, the grip cannot be the weakest link in the chain. If grip pressure is good and the grip is breaking, then maybe the wrists need to be more flexible or resilient and less rigid. Brian Enos and Michael Plaxco both recommended same pressure as holding a hammer when driving nails. Okay? Yeah, but the bottom line for me, get out there and try this stuff, and you're going to get a way better concept of what it should feel like. Anyway, that's it for me.